So the first game we're going to talk about is The Mind.
Designed by Wolfgang Warsch. Artist is Oliver Freudenreich, and it's published by 10 people. So look behind you and see which version we played.
Pandasaurus Games.
Pandasaurus Games.
So basically, The Mind, you're probably already familiar with this. Mm-hmm. This was a Spiel des Jahres nominee. Did it win? No, it did not win. What did win? I totally forgot what won.
I don't remember.
Well, prepared. It was going up against Luxor in another game, which I believe is the other game that won.
The other game won because, we talked about this not that long ago because we thought Luxor did.
Yeah. Well, Eric's going to look it up.
Was it Azul?
Oh, yeah, I believe so. Eric's going to look up just in case. But the way The Mind plays is it's kind of like a activity, but it is a game. So you got a deck of 100 cards. It's simply the numbers 1 through 100. And depending on the number of players, you're going to play through so many stages. And for instance, in a 4-player game, you play to stage 8. And there are cards that represent how many lives you have, basically how many mistakes you can make. And you have shurikens, which will allow you to do a special ability, which we'll talk about. In stage 1, each player is going to get 1 card. Stage 2, each player is going to get 2 cards, 3 cards, etc., up until 8. With a 4-player game, you get 8 cards apiece. The name of the game is you cannot talk, you cannot communicate, you can't do anything. It simply is you need to play all these cards in sequential order of the cards that you have on the table. So if Matt puts down an 8, then we wait, we look at each other, I might put down the 15. And we look at each other, maybe Eric throws down the 32. You keep doing that until all the cards out of all the players' hands have been played. If there's ever a mistake, so say Eric puts down the 32, but really Matt had the 25, then we stop. All the cards that are below 32, which is the current card that Eric played, get removed from the game, basically, or put out in front of you, and you lose one of your lives. And you keep going. You don't reset that round. And you, at any point, one player can raise his hand, and if everybody does so, it triggers a pause, and you use one of your shurikens, and everybody discards the lowest card in their hand, which gives you some information. You play round 1, you clap your hands that you survived, and you play round 2, realize you're not good at the game, and then you play round 3, and you keep going. So that's pretty much the game. It's super simple. It's interesting when I tell people this game because then you that don't play games, and you're like, well, by the way, you can't talk. What? Mm-hmm. You can't communicate. What? You can't do anything. You can't show your cards, whatever. So what did you think about this, Eric? We'll start with you.
No, I didn't mind it. I do feel like it's more of a I don't know, something you do together versus
like an activity.
Yeah, instead of a game. I think it is has low complexity. It's cheap. It's portable. So all that is kind of going for it. It is fun to do. I have a good time doing it. You can play most anywhere. It doesn't take a lot of space to play.
It's a very small deck. Yeah,
you can play with most anybody too. The complexity is rather low, so I like it. You do inadvertently have some communication just by I'm waiting, you're waiting. Okay, they don't have a real low card.
That's true. And then I guess every time I play it, somebody mentions, why can't we just count in our heads? And I don't think that really works. I mean, I guess you could.
You kind of do count, but we're all going to count in a different way.
It's more of anticipation.
Right.
So you're like, all right, I played the 5. I play it real fast because obviously it's a very low card, whereas I'm not going to play the 99 until, I'm pretty sure everybody's cards are in their hand.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think, Matt? Because this is the first time you played them, right?
I did not care for this at all.
Yeah, I do see that is going to be quite contrasting. There's going to be a lot of players that either like it a lot, it's fun for them, or they're going to be like, oh man, why does anybody like this game?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we didn't do good.
No.
That has nothing to do with it. I just, playing the game, and even if you do count, okay, so say everybody is counting, there's always that big hesitation, like everyone's looking, and you're kind of like putting your hand out a little bit. Well, if people are still counting, that completely gets everything off, because now...
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And beyond that, though, how do you... Are you going to sit there and deduct every card?
I think it's kind of a luck of the draw.
It's kind of like a guess and a luck-based kind of thing on if you're in the right spot or not.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, up until later in the game when you have like 6 and 7 or 8 cards or whatever, but at the beginning, it's like, what happens if one round I draw a 24 and you draw a 25?
Right, that's what I was going to say.
That's kind of what happened to us.
Right.
That's the only real big pitfall of the game is going to be a really luck-based. And when the cards are so close together, if I have a 4 and you have a 20 and Matt has a 35 or 50 or something, it's gonna kind of be easier, but it's gonna be really hard and really luck-based when I have a 24, you have a 25, Matt has a 26.
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean, I guess at that point you can kind of, if everybody's really hesitant and they're waiting, just do a shuriken. Because there are, in the future stages, you do get more lives, like for completing it, or a shuriken for completing it. So,
and that does give you information there.
Right. So it's interesting because I heard about it during Gen Con, or before Gen Con, when it was making the big splash.
I thought it sounded cool when you talked about it.
Right. And then we played it. We played it at Gen Con a few times, and it's kind of like, first off, it was impossible because we did play it wrong the first time
Initially, right.
but the times after that we played it right, which basically when we failed that whole stage and we started over. We lost a life and started over. We were playing in hardcore mode at that point, but I mean, still the same feeling. It was only that one time, but at first I was like, what? So when we played it again, we actually had somebody from Pandasaurus explain it to us, even though it's not a complicated game. But if the rulebook's not in front of you, you just take other people at Gen Con's word for it, apparently.
Right.
And so we played it a few more times, and it's kind of like, it was cool, but it is, I feel like, almost a flash in a pan, sort of. Like, I do enjoy it, but I probably wouldn't play it with it, even though it would benefit me to play it with the same people a lot, because I feel like you would get on the same mindset, the mind. But I do want to play it with people who never played it. It's a cool experience, but then you're done.
Right, yeah. Well, also say, I totally forgot.
Well, I'll
Back to
chip
you.
in. I will say that even we've talked about this in the past, but did you look up who won the Spiel des Jahres? Was it Azul?
It was Azul.
All right. First off, it does not compare as a game to
No,
Azul
it
or
doesn't.
Luxor. It is not in the same playing field. It should not have been nominated for this type of award.
I agree on that.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's a crap game. I actually enjoy it. I bought it, obviously, even after I've played it. So $10, it's super affordable. I'm glad it's in like Walmarts and Targets now because it's an appropriate game for a mass market for sure.
For mass market, great game for people to kind of get introduced to new games out there.
Yeah.
I will also say I remembered it now.
I think I know what
we
you're gonna say.
we kind of gamered it a little bit. I mean, we didn't gamer it, but we did come up with a gamer strategy on it. It's not even really a strategy, but what you could do using the rules that are there is you can just play one really high card and just discard all the low cards.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't prevent that in the rules, but I would say,
Spirit of the game.
Spirit of the game is not really what you're supposed to do.
Right, yeah. So, like, if you're on stage 8, just play the 100 or 99, and then all the
next
cards
level.
below it, gone.
Right. Cost you 1 life.
Now, somebody's going to point out something that I did not read, but whatever. I mean, it's like 2 pages. So, if I missed it, then it's a very small blurb. But it just seems like if there was a mistake, you play all the cards below it are removed.
Yeah, well, just one way to fix it is, you lose a life for every card that you misplayed underneath of it.
Well, I don't know about that because you could.
That would be insane.
That would be insane. You might as well just because, like, if you play the 30 and then everybody else has like 24, 26, and 28.
Yeah,
You're not going against the spirit of the game, but you're getting heavily punished at that point for no reason.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Get more lives.
Yeah, or maybe maybe a life for every increments of 10. So if you play the 40, like if you discard a card that's in the 30s, you lose a life. If you discard a card that's in the 20s, you lose a life. To detract from the ability to play the 99, and then everybody's cards are discarded from their hand.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's in the FAQ.
It probably
is.
Or
it probably is actually in the rulebook. I just missed it. I don't know. But it seems like you could game it like that, and you should not because, like I said, it is more of an activity, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But it's neat. It's neat to start. We haven't got to this point, but it would be neat to see us like blast through it. Be like,
we know how to do this now.
Yeah. So, and I just keep playing it with different people. So I haven't played it with the same group of people enough to get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
But it's okay. It's definitely it's an interesting experience. Although I will say that they should combo this with the game.
Yeah.
Because the same company published it, and it uses
the same company?
literally the same cards. So
cards 1 through 100. I think the game uses a couple other cards that aren't in here, but you can proxy them.
Well, you could probably just proxy them with the life and the stage
Shurikens,
cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the stage cards.
Or the shurikens or whatever. I don't think there's that many cards more than what.
No, I've probably the same amount of cards, but they don't. Oh wait, they don't have the same, all the same cards.
Right, they don't have all the same cards, and obviously the actual if you just type in the game, it is not a good search.
You have to
It's a
scroll
rapper.
down.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to be able to find this, but the game.
It's a rapper.
Of
It's
life.
Street Life. It's
Well,
all kinds of stuff.
I'm in on Board Game Geek. It's like hundreds of
Oh,
like the game of life, the card game. It's like everything comes up. Yeah, the game has, what is this? 100 cards. I can't see where it says what it comes with. It doesn't matter. Anyway, so I do recommend the Mind just because it's cheap, it's accessible, you can play with anybody. Although I don't think everybody's going to walk away blown away from their seat or anything.
Right.
Cool. Anything else before we move on?
Nope.
no.
Not interested, Matt.
Nope.
All right. That's the Mind.